Oh my goodness, hi! Sorry, it's my first time live streaming. I was just talking there for 2 minutes with no audio. Well, hi, welcome. I'm going to start my spiel over again. My name is Donna Bali. I'm the co producer and director, first time streamer, forgive me. And Welcome to our listening party for Yappie the Musical. This has been a project 2 years in the making. We've been recording between last fall and now. But the project itself was started about 2 years ago, and it was really born out of a community project, like a community need for better representation and better advocacy in our community here in Baltimore, in DC, and Virginia. And out of these group discussions, what I fondly remember as roundtable discussions of us just grabbing coffee and talking about our experiences as artists, as Asian people, and how that coincides and how that brings a unique experience to our landscape in our careers and artistic lives. And a lot of us were fans of musical theater and musical theater heads, and we thought it would be fun to maybe take a musical take on the experiences that we have navigating our creative lives and professional careers as Asian people. And uh, that led me to, I'm going to hand it off here to my creative team and my colleagues. The first person that I semi-recruited into this project is Bobby, and he is our illustrious composer, and we were connected through a mutual friend in the Baltimore theater community. And Bobby had just started his program here in Baltimore at Peabody Conservatory. Hi,
Yeah.
Bobby.
Hello. Yeah. So my name's
Here.
I don't know.
Can anybody hear us?
Can I be heard?
I think you're good now.
Should I?
I think you're good now.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. I'm sorry if I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm Bobby. I'm the composer for Yappie. Yeah. I guess for myself, when it came to the musical and everything, um, I guess for me, it felt like an especially or important or pivotal thing for our project for me to be working on because it was sort of one of the first collaborations that I got to initiate or got to be a part of as sort of an aspiring composer. I grew up, thinking I was going to be a scientist. I studied physics in college and everything, and then for myself, it felt like a really big transition to try and be, pivoting towards something completely unrelated, doing music and composing of all things, right? And so I know that for a while I wanted to try and explore or contend with some questions of my own Asianness and like what it meant for me to I don't know, live up, or what it meant for myself to live up to what I thought were like Asian expectations, like what I was supposed to be. Because yeah, I think especially when I first began trying to do music and trying to look for creative outlets, my parents were very much were very much sort of surprised that was a direction that I'd wanted to take, and we're sort of I get a message every other day from my mom telling me to think about computer science or AI, that sort of thing. Um, I guess it became important for me to want to explore some of those questions about myself and about what it meant to be Asian American, like through the context of my own art and through the context of music. I think because being able to work on and create art and that kind of thing is something that is incredibly and tremendously personal and was something that ended up being really formative for myself. I think in understanding more of myself just as an artist. yeah, so it's a very introspective, philosophical sort of a spiel. On a more, I don't know, just like literal note, it was super great getting to meet Donna and all the other collaborators who we eventually got to work with and put together this whole project. After things were sort of greenlit, we were like, okay, let's do this thing. I began scouting sort of around Peabody, looking for musicians and collaborators, people I wanted to work with, and got to meet my good friend Roger Mufu, the conductor, and who was also my roommate for a little while. Yeah, so I'm going to hand it off to him now. He is a fantastic conductor. We had a really good time getting to work with one another. Yeah, so that's thank you, Roger.
Okay. First, I want to make sure. Can we hear me? Am I here? Can y'all hear me? I'm gonna assume yes. Okay. Great. Yes. So as Bobby said, kind of the next phase of this was Bobby and I connecting, and I really think that the genesis of so many of our projects, as an aside, that's just been because we're roommates. It's pretty amazing. Just like, hey, you want to do this thing? Like, yeah, let's do this thing. I was obviously invested in the idea too. From my personal background, being an Asian American has been kind of an interesting path for me, and so I really resonated with kind of the idea of just producing a work that's like our story. And as Bobby said, when you go to grad school, you just kind of have to look for projects. You got to do stuff. And what a joy and what a privilege to be able to do a project that actually resonates too and has artistic merit. It's pretty incredible. So I, talked to Bobby, and then Bobby kind of connected me to Donna, and kind of the team at the time that was working on the project, and I thought it was all awesome. So, long story short, I was on board. I loved the idea, and I love conducting musical theater, although I was at Peabody to do wind conducting. It's kind of, I think it's so great in so many different levels. So I took this idea and I ran with it. There were a couple grants that Bobby and I applied for, and somehow we got some funding. And it was pretty incredible, just the fact that happened. Yeah, and so, after some meetings with some of the deans that were in charge of these grants, it really just blew up into this huge collaborative community-based project, which we're really proud of. Working with Peabody and the Hopkins community and the Baltimore kind of just artistic scene in general has been and continues to be, even in the form that it is now, kind of a central tenet of what this project is about. Like, yes, we're telling our stories, but we're also connecting communities together, and collaboration is a huge part of this. So that was really great. We can tell stories about kind of Hopkins campus and trying to pitch the idea to undergrads and like, hey, y'all want to like do this thing? Would you be interested in this? It was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed it. And kind of diving into this process of creating a musical was new for me too, and so much learning on that end, and so much fun, and so many nights of like trying to throw ideas around. I'll never forget that kind of stuff. I'll never forget that wall. The team knows that what we're talking about, but that wall is legendary in my mind. But yeah, so in that process, we were formulating the story in a technical sense. Bobby's a composer, I'm a music director. So what we were missing was like somebody to write, somebody like actually can like put this into a script, because we don't know what we're doing on that end. And so lucky, it's just incredible that we were able to kind of, Jenny was there to kind of like save us from like this dire need of like, we need somebody, what do we do? And so we are so lucky and so happy to have met Jenny C. Lars, who's a playwright and our lyricist, and just companion and friend, and it's just been amazing. But to talk about kind of the rest of it, here's Jenny.
Thank you, Roger. Hello, everybody. I am Jenny. I'm the playwright and lyricist for Yappie, the musical. So I actually joined the project in July 2019 and immediately went to work storyboarding the plot with Roger and Bobby. We had a lot of Post-it notes on a wall. I believe it's still up in Bobby's apartment, I think. But once we had a skeleton of the basic plot and the songs and the themes that we wanted to include, I started writing almost every day to get it ready to be staged in October. So we're looking at a very, very tight timeline. Whenever I'd finish lyrics for songs, I'd hand it over to Bobby, and then he'd start writing the music. And at the same time, Donna and Roger were hard at work assembling a cast. So our rehearsals actually began in September, and then the workshop performance of the first act only, because I had 2 months to write, was on October 4th. From there, the story evolved significantly, as I understood the characters we created a bit more and as I kind of infused parts of myself in them. So as of right now, Yappie the musical centers on Grace, who is driven, competitive, has a specific life plan, and is a bit particular about her living space. She gets passed over for a promotion and finds herself auditioning for a musical after running into a childhood friend. So then this really starts her journey of discovering who she really is and what she really wants outside of her family's expectations. She actually meets quite a few characters along the way that help her in her journey. The first is Michael, who is that childhood friend. He's passionate and a little self-righteous, but he's a mama's boy deep down. He's also written an original musical. Jamie is non-binary, no nonsense, self-possessed yet warm and approachable. Henry is mixed race. He's kind of not. He's kind, but not a pushover. Yeah. He's playful, and in some ways, he's also kind of still searching for where he truly belongs. And of course, this story would not be complete without a parent of some sort. So we have Grace's mom, who to this day is still called Grace's mom. She is extremely hardworking and ambitious in her own right. She loves her daughter, but often doesn't know how to express it except for securing her daughter's future. And so now I'm going to hand it back to Donna, who's going to talk about how this musical transitioned from a stage performance to a concept album.
Yes. So originally we were gearing up to do a live stage performance, and as a producer had already lined up like designers, and we had our space, and we had all of our musicians. Stage manager, we were a little bougie. We even had an assistant stage manager, the works. And literally the 7 p.m., I remember distinctly, probably a little earlier, before we started rehearsals the very next day, which was going to be a Wednesday. Obviously, 2020, the theme of the story obviously was the COVID shutdowns. And so night before, we got the notices from our rehearsal spaces and from our sponsors and from Johns Hopkins University and Peabody Conservatory that they were suspending all in-person classes and activities. And so the story goes for the next year. And while we were trying to figure out what is a next step, if we would still like to continue to do a live performance, the timeline of the project and obviously just the timeline of the world didn't quite line up. And Jenny had a fabulous idea to do a recording to preserve the work that had been done so far and to honor many of the cast members who have been with us. Sorry about my cat. Been with us from the very beginning, and we are so grateful that our castmates are almost all of them are original castmates from our workshop performance in October 2019. And we recruited, Roger recruited fabulous sound editors and engineers for us. And we took a test run, and our first single, which is available first on our Bandcamp, which was One Path, featuring Isabella Shia as Grace. And that was our test run. And so we planned to record 3 more songs for a full-length album of 4 songs, which released today. So that was a big, long pivot. None of us had produced a recording album before, so it was a huge learning curve. We learned a lot, and we're just really grateful that we got to work with really excellent people along the way who really took care of us, and really all of us pulled together as a team. So that is the gist of how we have gotten here tonight. And on to, how about listening to some songs? I think we're ready to listen to some music. We're super excited. So I am going to pass it off to Roger. And Roger, he is my rock. He is my everything in this project. And we just have been partners in this from the very beginning, and I couldn't be more grateful. So I will hand it off to Roger. He's currently on the West Coast in California, and he graduated last spring with his master's from Peabody in musical directing. And Roger, where in the world are you now?
Yeah, so first I want to say, thank you, Donna, thank you so much. It's so sweet, so kind. I have to return the favor because it's true. Donna has taught me so much, from her expertise. It's really been incredible, and I'm so thankful for that experience. And yeah, so thank you, Donna. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in California. So, if we're talking about the process, it's been interesting because everything is PST or EST. And if I don't say that, then we're kind of done for. So that's been fun. But yeah, so one path was kind of, as Donna was mentioning, our kind of our test run. And it's special to me for lots of reasons. To give a little context, one path is kind of our first foray into like a song in our musical. We've had an overture at this point in terms of the progression of the story. But this features like our first moment where we can really get a close, intimate look at Grace, who's our main character. And she's, to put a little bit more context, this is after a night of revelry and some commiseration at a bar the night before. And she's waking up in her room a little bit discombobulated, as some of us may relate to. And her mom calls, and she has to kind of update her mom about this promotion she was up for that she didn't get. She was hoping to not have to tell her yet. And it turns into a whole thing. She eventually tells her mom that, like, yeah, I didn't get it. And that turns into a whole other thing. And so we find this intimate moment where we kind of see Grace at her lowest. And we really see where she's at and questioning kind of like everything that's happened at this point. Yeah, and it's sung by our wonderful Isabella Shea, who's, I don't believe is here yet, so hopefully she'll be able to join us. And again, as Donna said, lots of experimentation. We had no idea if this was going to work. So the process has been incredible. I'm so glad it all worked out. And I'm so proud, and hopefully you can enjoy kind of the work that these wonderful musicians, vocalists, and the engineers and everybody involved has put into it. So without much further ado, here's one path.
Yes, that's all there is to life. One path, one way. Have I always played it safe? Live day by day unscathed. Look at me and my success. A clear path I took in stride. But now where do I go? What's next? I did not plan for this. Is this all there is to life? One path, one way. that there is to life, one path, one way. Is this just who it is I'm meant to be? A member of society who sits and smiles and works all night, who waits for the right time. Would I lose it all if I let go and walk away? What would I gain if I just took a chance? Is this just who it is I'm meant to be? A member of society who sits and smiles and works all night, who waits for the right time. If I walk away right now, who then would I become? Maybe it's worth finding out for once. Maybe it's worth finding out for once.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. All right, thank you so much. That was fabulous. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. All right, still learning the ropes over here. I apologize. Next, we are going to keep on rolling. We are going to introduce the next track on the album, which is Flip the Script. And Flip the Script is sung by our fabulous vocalists, Kimberly Amar and Isabella. And Kim plays Jamie, and Isabella plays Grace. And at this point, this is a budding friendship, and Isabella, as Grace, is kind of still questioning what directions she wants to take in her life and what is available to her, and questioning what has been available to her in her life. And Jamie has this shining light from within, and but it's not always been an easy path for Jamie. And the lessons that Jamie has learned through her hardships, she puts into this song, and kind of conveys, that how she has gained the confidence in order to make the world in her own terms. And Yappie itself is kind of meta. There is a script writing going on within the musical of the script of the musical. And so I love the title Flip the Script, which is a wonderful title by Jenny. And I don't want to give any more away. I just really want to get into the song. And please enjoy Flip the Script.
Have you ever had people question you? claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Now I can tell your story, but you, now I can say it isn't true. Only you can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Have you ever lived your life by the rules, scared to fail to look like a fool? My whole life was laid out before me, but is this where I'm supposed to be? Have you ever had people question you? They don't believe your life is true. They tell you how to be and who to love. Follow where lightning will strike from above. Have you ever wanted to disappear? Crawled inside and lived in fear. Wondered if this is how your story ends, but there's always a light around the bend. Now I can tell your story, but you, now I can say it isn't true. Only you can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Now I can tell your story, but you, now I can say it isn't true. Only you can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Have you ever lived your life by the rules, scared to fail to look like a fool? My whole life was laid out before me, but is this where I'm supposed to be? Now I can tell your story, but you, now I can say it isn't true. Only you can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Now I can tell your story, but you, now I can say it isn't true. Only you can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Only we can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift. Only we can claim it, so claim it, flip the script, and watch the world shift.
That was so fabulous. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you so much, Isabella. I have already, I typed in the chat, already listened to this song 17,000 times. It's truly a really, really wonderful song. And we're going to keep it right on rolling. And I have the immense pleasure of introducing our playwright, Jenny C. Lauris. And Jenny is already an incredibly accomplished spoken word performer and poet, and has listed playwright and lyricist and et cetera, to her resume and her CV. She's currently studying arts administration at Goucher, getting her master's, and we could not be more lucky. We keep saying this, but truly, we could not be more lucky to have the immense heart of Jenny's poetry into the script, for which her passion and love clearly shines through. And so I clearly can't say enough things, nice things. And so we're going to keep it moving. And Jenny, take it away. Where next song for is Take Up Space.
Thank you, Donna, for that wonderful intro. I I get the pleasure of introducing the next song, which is "Take Up Space." This is actually the second track on our album. This song has a really special place in my heart because it's the first song that I wrote for the musical. It is performed by Manny Yan Gilmao, who plays Michael, with additional vocals by Kimberly Amar, who plays Jamie, and Ann Kaintik, who plays Henry. So to set up the context of the song, in the story, after randomly running into Grace, Michael invites Grace to a meeting about the musical that he's written. And at the meeting, this is a song that Michael sings to kind of like introduce the rationale for writing a musical, essentially. And Grace actually ends up catching like the tail end of this song. And so tonight, you are all the first people to see this music video for Take Up Space. We are so excited for you to see it. And shout out to Cody Russell for making the video. So here it is, Take Up Space.
Of others telling our story, dictating who we can be. A Chinaman, a sidekick, heavy on the slapstick, dragon lady foreigner, accent fake, model minority, heads bowed, happy to be silent. We ain't never been silent. We ain't ever been quiet. We've been on this continent for centuries, nailing down rails, making trails, only to be excluded and jailed for being Chinese. No boys. American. 'Cause times are changing. A crazy rich history shining on the screen. Let's be the drivers of this scene. This world is more than black and white. No more will we be erased. Let's take up space. Yeah. We come from paper sons and picture brides, fountain pen boys in Angel Island, refugees who cross oceans to stay alive. We be descendants of warriors, sugar plantation laborers, grape workers on strike. We are immigrants with dreams outweighing fears, creating our own history. We will be the ones we wish existed. From the east, south, southeast, our story's centered. We won't stop until we're heard. 'Cause times are changing. A crazy rich history shining on the screen. Let's be the drivers of this scene. 'Cause the world is more than black and white. No more will we be erased. Let's take up space. Let's take up space. Let's take up space. Let's take up space. 'Cause times are changing. A crazy rich history shining on the screen. Let's be the drivers of this scene. 'Cause the world is more than black and white. No more will we be erased. Let's take up space. No more will we be erased. Let's take up space.
It's a bop. Alrighty. Up next. Yes. All right. Take it away.
I'm so glad that so many of you have like left comments about this video. It's actually like a dream come true. I really wanted the lyrics video for one of our songs, and this was just absolutely perfect. Now I have the honor of introducing our brilliant composer, Bobby Guh. I told him that I'd share all his accolades, but then, we'd probably be here for a while. So here is a condensed version. Bobby is an avid collaborator who seeks to create vivid emotional journeys that navigate boundaries between genre and medium. He's created multimedia projects projects most recently with the Space Telescope Science Institute, and has received commissions and performances by groups including the Albany Symphony, the Harbin Symphony Orchestra, music from Copland House, Mind on Fire, KLK New Music, the Future Symphony Competition Orchestra, and many more. But most of all, he is my friend and esteemed colleague. Take it away, Bobby.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for the very generous, generous introduction. It's my privilege and honor to introduce the last song that we were able to put together for this little album called For You. This particular song does mean an awful lot to me. I think it came from, especially for all of us, actually. It felt, for myself at least, extremely personal. Just as someone who's had a fair bit of, not to make it too dramatic or anything, but a little of some friction between myself and my parents when it came to figuring out, career path and what I wanted to do with myself and why, of all things that I wanted to do, why it had to be music. But I've always gotten along really well with my mom, and so for this particular song, it's where the song comes in the musical. It's a moment of understanding, a moment of connection between our main character Grace and her mother. After a good chunk of the story being kind of at odds with one another, and so what you'll hear in the song is a great deal of tenderness, honesty, vulnerability that can be rare and difficult for not to be stereotyping here, but that it can be difficult for some Asian parents to convey out loud to their children. On some level, I think for myself, I was thinking, I sort of heard it in my head as a kind of almost inner conversation, between, I guess, for Grace's mom. And it was super, honestly, when we were first thinking about the song, I was rather intimidated by trying to come up with it. I think about what am I going to write for this thing? And Jenny's lyrics were so sweet, so heartfelt, so honest. I don't know, it ended up being much more natural and much easier and much more exciting to write than I was anticipating. And I'm incredibly grateful that we got to work with the amazing, fantastic Devine. She will tell you that she is she will tell you all of the beautiful emotional stories later in our Q&A. But she is a wonderful person. We were super, super grateful to get to work with her. And you'll also hear a tidbit from Isabella Shea towards the end. Not to spoil too much. So yeah, we're really excited to be able to present the song. It was an awful lot of fun to put together. So without further ado, here is For You.
I know I have been hard on you since you were young, expecting more because I wanted more for you, so you could work in an office with a window view of the sky, not be the one who cleans it. To wear suits and high heels so they hear you coming. That's my dream for you. Chance to fly. To hear the doubt that's in your voice hurts more than I can say. Did I fail you somehow? Did I lead you astray? If you told me that my sacrifice would lead to your unhappiness, I would never have come here. To this land of the dreamers, the brave and the free, take me back in time. is not perfect, life is messy and strange. If there's one thing you learn from me, you can adapt and you can change. My own life is not as simple as 1, 2, 3. I had no footsteps to follow. Living here, the biggest detour for you and me. You are my daughter, a child of 2 nations, smart, pretty, full of ambition. We all know where you got it from. I set you on a path I believe to be true. Now here you are at the crossroads. Whatever you decide, I will be here for you. You are my daughter.
I am your daughter.
A child of 2 nations.
Born from dreams, rest and hope.
Smart, pretty, full of ambition.
We all know where I got it from.
Don't be afraid of passing on.
I'm less afraid not alone.
Don't be afraid of passing on.
Your story is part of my own.
Don't be afraid of passing on. Life is not perfect. Life is messy and strange. If there's one thing that you learn from me,
I can adapt and I can
I set you on a path I believe to be true. It's time now to see you fly. Whatever you decide, I will be here for you.
Oh my gosh! Welcome back, welcome everyone. We are doing it. We did it. Thank you everyone for joining us. That was For You by Davine and Isabella, our mom. We could not be more proud. We are just so jazzed. That was incredible. Alrighty. So now it's time to meet and greet with some of the cast. I can do some introductions. If I can get my Zoom here to be formatted. There we go. Formatted a little bit better. Alrighty. So first up, our main character Grace, Isabella. Give a wave. And we have Davine, who is our illustrious mother, and Michael, Manny, and we have Jamie, Kim, and we have An as our Henry. Welcome, welcome. So you guys can all unmute, and we got some questions. Thank you so much for everyone who has been tuning in so far and bearing with me in particular with all the technical glitches. We hope you enjoy the music. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat. And we're just gonna go around and just kind of check in. Anyone who wants to jump in, how's this process been with you, for you? Did the character or song that you performed in resonate with you? And or were there parts of your life or experiences that you brought to that experience of that character? Anyone want to go?
I'll go. I am of mixed Pacific Islander, Asian, and white heritage. So most of the time when people see me, they see a Hispanic person. So I've actually not had many opportunities to be able to portray an Asian or Pacific Islander person. This has actually been one of the first. And not only that, but also I say this all the time to Donna, but she sent out the information for these shows. They were looking for Michael and Henry, and I sent an email to her saying, "Hey, I'm non-binary. I would like to be considered for Michael." And one of the things that they have said this whole time is that they are looking for the spirit of the character and not necessarily a cisgendered person. So it has been really amazing for me to be able to not only play an Asian man, but also an Asian man that is a potential romantic interest, and also just one that is so similar to me. I am so civic engagement minded, and it's so wonderful to see such a passionate artist like Michael be able to come to life. It's great.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I remember that moment when that email came through. I was like, yeah, you're hired. Like, that's you. From knowing you for so long. Not to be nepotistic, but that is how it shook out. I was like, this is the vibe. And I believe the same thing too. We were looked really a long time for a Henry. We went through also many iterations of Henry in the story, about like, what is this character, either a servicing, is this, a perspective, like what is this perspective that we need? And luckily On came into our lives, and we were like connected through other people as well before too, and I was just like, I really feel like this is the vibe, this is the good vibe that we need for Henry. So thank you so much.
I do have to give a shout out to my best friend. His name is James Doggett. And he's the one who literally put Yappie on the radar for me. For a while now, I went a different path musically. I focus more so in songwriting rather than being active in musicals. But that is my background, and he put me on this, and I was like, I might as well audition, shoot my shot, and I'm just really thankful to be here. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. Jenny, there is a question for you, and the question was, is there a reason that you picked a female protagonist for the musical?
I saw this question and I was been wondering how I was going to answer it, because it was more like there was no other option. Like, as in, like, it had to be a female protagonist, woman protagonist. Part of it is also like, I think because for me as a woman, it's easier for me to write in that perspective as well. But also because you don't really see that many stories where the woman has agency, where it's about her life, her journey, her struggles, and that was really important to show that, to kind of complicate it more as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I could add too, real quick, if I could, Donna. I think part of it is also that we knew Isabella, Augie and I, having been at Peabody. So there's an element of like, here's what we have, and great and it works, and let's do it. And to go alongside with everything that Jenny's, kind of told us, right? So there's an aspect of like, yeah, I mean, it's about to be great. Let's just run with it, and then like here it is, and it works amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think going on with casting, yeah, Isabella, how has this process been for you? Also, in the pivot to recording this album, traditionally when you record a musical album of any kind, you're in a studio. It's like soundproof. The engineers in like the other room. You can imagine all the TV shows and movies you've seen. Like what like the inside of a recording studio looks like. Well, our recording studios were all inside of our houses this time, all remote. And that had a lot of challenges. I'm sure Roger and Bobby can attest to that. But I think Isabella moved a few times during this whole process of recording this album. How was it for you? Kind of a lot going on in your life and squeezing this in.
I mean, it's definitely a really fun project that I wanted to prioritize. So it wasn't really a problem trying to squeeze the project in, but I think it was a problem for all of our sound engineers, because we have to do the setup so many times, and every time it would be a little bit different, and there would be so many tech issues over Zoom. And yeah, I feel bad for Noah, because he's had to help me with like just so many technical issues along the way. Yeah, that was the recording part.
That's a great segue, Roger and Bobby, if you want to talk about Noah and Randy, who helped us get this all recorded. And what was that process like for you all as the resident musical geniuses?
Yeah, I can kind of talk a bit about how we met. I mean, Noah, the beauty of this project is that it really has been about, at its core, in ways we haven't even realized, about community. We drew from the community that we had. That we didn't like. The talent is all here. It's not about like having to go and find something amazing. So because we already are amazing, it's just here. Just look for it. Noah's he went to school with us at the same time at Peabody. I believe he's graduated. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us today, but he's a fantastic horn player. He's a master's in audio technology at Peabody, I believe, and
like audio sciences.
Audio sciences, yeah. And we kind of put a little bit of a call out too, to the Peabody audio department. And when I saw that Noah was interested, it was just easy, because I knew him as a musician, and he has fantastic ears, which are so important to the skills. And so that was, I can't stress how pivotal it was to have someone like Noah who had like a structure and a process. He's like, here's how I work. Like, this is what it's going to be. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Sounds good. So huge respect and so much gratitude for him on that end. But I don't know, Bobby, if you're going to add any.
Yeah. I think of everyone's jobs, like in this whole thing, whether it's being a conductor or as a musician, mine was probably the least changed, because my life is pretty much just sitting in my room and writing music anyways. And so when lockdown came, that was sort of to say, if there's anything that was different, it was just that it was kind of late not being able to like workshop pieces live with singers and musicians. That's sort of a thing that I really enjoy. How the creative process is how it feels a lot like a give and take. I like write a bunch of notes and write a bunch of things down, and then a good chunk of the stuff changes, or depending on how realistic it all is. There are so many nights, a lot of nights at Peabody when things were still sort of, back before times things were sort of normal. When I would, write a song, and then it'd be unrealistic in a particular key, and be too fast, too high, that kind of thing. And a lot of stuff would be changed. And then for me, trying to write it in quarantine was just very different. It was more, I don't know, it was interesting. I felt very, it felt more insular in a way, which I think on one hand allowed the music to sort of be even more like personal in a way. It felt more in my head and everything. But yeah, it was cool. I was very glad that I had a good sort of interpreter, so to speak, in Roger, and taking the musicians and singers, sort of out solutions for how to realize like some pretty challenging music, all without like being conducted live. Right, it was all just to a click track, to MIDI, and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to like kick things over to like different topics or whatever, but I was curious to know from like Roger and from from the singers and everything how how rehearsing and trying to figure out you know trying to figure out how like kind of sing like rhythms and interpret all that the colors and notation and all that stuff was like.
I'm about to be exposed.
Is this the wrong question? I don't know.
No. I definitely won't think it'd be. I would love to hear the feedback from.
Like, I mean, not to put on stuff, but like to Dean, especially as like not someone who's like comes from a classical background. Like, what was it like, sort of getting in, finding the character, finding the music, and trying to make it? Because I thought ultimately you sang like that being like really beautifully. That there was a lot of soul and care and personality in the song. And yeah, I'm just curious how was like finding that character, finding that place, like when you're singing to like a laptop in your room by your kids, family, and all that stuff. If you don't mind me.
I'll say real quick. I want to also note that we were so lucky to have who we have because I really didn't do that much either. Like there's a big secret. Oops. Right, because our talent was just there. So like we worked on things and that was great. But it was so incredible for me that this worked out because as Bobby said, we couldn't rehearse. I can't really conduct over Zoom, and everyone knows that Zoom's kind of like a tough musical medium. Mm-hmm. And so it was really like, here you guys go. Like if I can help, I'll try to help. And lo and behold, I like barely had to do anything because everyone just knocked it out of the park.
Actually, fun fact. Roger had to rap the second part of the space for me. I have a recording of it because it's actually a new segment.
Bonus track.
Leak it.
You should have done it right now. Roger, do it right now.
I'm not getting paid for that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had to read music, and I was like, what are rhythms? So he actually had to help me out with that, but it ended up really great.
So it's not just me. Oh my god, I feel better.
I think what helped the most though is that for like most of the songs that we had done for this album, like we had done in October of 2019, so we already had kind of a rhythm for it. But then hearing all the musicians behind us, which was so cool, by the way, I think it just kind of added an extra element to it of like, okay, how are we gonna work our vocals with that? And then, I don't know. It was really cool to do it. I think in the live aspect of being in a musical, I think that's so fun to just incorporate everything together, but to still do it like through the computer and the internet. Like we couldn't obviously meet, and like a lot of us were in different places, but it was really nice to still make this album together.
Speaking of, please go ahead.
Oh, was it done? Oh, may I? I'm sorry, I'm getting shy. I don't know why. But I would like to piggyback on that. What Kim had said. Like I was not in the inception, and I'm so sorry, guys. But even then, shout out to the very first Henry. Ciron, is that his name?
Yeah.
I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, shout out to him and all that he's done. But definitely having those original songs like already recorded in the first inception helped me a lot personally. At the beginning, when I heard there was going to be a concept album, I was like, oh, lit. Like, that's my wheelhouse. Like, I'm good to go. Like, what you guys need from me in like a recording studio space or something like that. And I was already setting up my own like makeshift recording area in my room already. So I was like, let's do it. And the communication, I am just blessed. Like, I feel very blessed with the communication between Roger and like how Bobby and them are very receptive with like not the best knowledge of not a lot of knowledge with the classically written and it's more so I do have a background, but you really got to spend a lot of time in order to be that person who could just like read it like a book and like hear the song in your head when you're reading a score of music. And I will admit I'm not there yet. So I'm so grateful for their communication, and I don't know if that's the same experience from everybody else. So I'd love to hear also.
We should play. We all should play the Roger track because mine is my kids' favorite now. They listen to that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I won't. But my kids love it, Roger. They love you. They love you. They eat their cereal. They're like Mr. Rogers teaching mommy how to sing.
Oh,
I do want to shout out. We should shout out specifically to Devine, and also to Jenny and Bobby, for writing and singing and putting together a whole new song no one has ever heard of. Including the creative team. And, like, until the track came, I was like, I have no idea. And it's gorgeous, and I will easily cry to it every single night of my life. To cry myself to sleep. And so that was a feat in and of itself. So thank you so much, Devine, for taking that journey with us. Shout out to you for taking on that challenge. And it
Thank
just
you.
went so beautifully. And we actually have a question for you, I think, from Zanali.
My sister.
Yeah. As the mom, did you see similarities of parenting you had growing up, or if you have a kid, you have kids, did you resonate with the character?
It was a lasagna of meta connection. I mean, because I am Isabel as far as being the performer in real life. I'm a stand-up comedian and I disappoint my mom. And when I'm singing as my mom if she didn't have emotional constipation. And while I'm recording the song, I'm telling my kids, be quiet, mommy's recording a song. I'm sorry, I still love you though. And then I'm like already in mommy mode. And then I'm like, oh, I love my kid. I'm trying to be supportive even though I'm upset, but the tone's already there because all that anger is inside. So it's perfect. It was, it was all connected. It was
Fabulous. All right, excellent. I think we had a couple more questions. In the second song, in Take Up Space, that Manny sings as Michael, I heard East, South, Southeast. When brainstorming with the community, how did you weave all of the cultures and experiences of every Asians into a musical? Oh, this is our favorite. This is Roger's favorite topic.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
This is Roger's favorite thing to talk about.
I imagine Jenny probably you might
Yes, both
want
of
to
you,
chime
please.
in, right? But I'll just real quick say, like, I think this is wonderful because we actually got this question in our October workshop, if anybody remembers.
Yeah.
And it's a huge, it really is a big kind of important thing to talk about, I think. To some degree, my take of it was that we can't represent everybody. I think that's a failing task. And even if we try to, we would represent them like not the way that they would probably want to be represented because we're not them. And so, like, as much as we'd like to, I think what we came to, at least what I came to, was that the best we can do is just tell our stories. And that's really our perspective, and that's it. And kind of the whole point of the musical, a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a giveaway, but like the point is that like you can be any way you want and it's fine. And so this is just our way of doing it. Mm-hmm. We're not saying it's the way, right? And so like at the same time, we want to do as much as we can, but with the understanding that this is our story, and we want people to tell their stories in the same way we are, so that we can get actual representation that comes from the people that are being represented, instead of us trying to do that. Right? I'll stop ranting there and pass it off maybe. But
Well, if you check out the liner notes, if you download the tracks, which is Name Your Price, you'll see that we actually explain or break down a lot of the references that are in the song. Those come from I minored in Asian American Studies in college, and so a lot of that information is from those classes, and also just lived experience, right? It's interesting because, like, I love that song so much, but I also know where things are missing. But I had to let it go to be like, it's okay. Just, for this iteration, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to kind of add a little bit more to what Roger was saying. We really do believe that we can try our best, but we're never going to adequately sort of represent everyone, and we shouldn't try to, for sure. You know, like the point is empowering everybody else to tell their stories.
Fantastic.
One of the things that I appreciated about this production is that there are intentionally a lot of mentions, a lot of food references that are pretty expansive across Pan Asia, and I definitely do think that, you know, our production team was trying their hardest to make it as inclusive as possible. One of the things that didn't happen is that there were no South Asian people who showed up for the auditions, and a lot of the experience of Yappie is based on the people who showed up and who became these characters. So maybe in the future that will be more of a possibility. It does still lend itself towards East Asian experience, though.
Got it, great. I was actually reviewing the script, like I read it a long time ago, because, you know, oh, Jen, no, I love it. No, Jenny is like making, well, what was it? I read it a while ago because we were preparing to do the stage version of the musical. But I wanted to refresh my memory, and I know we only have 4 songs in the concept album, and still so happy that we have done this, of course. But I keep looking at like the other songs, and I'm like, I love those so much. And even those other songs, even the songs now, the 4 ones, they do represent certain experiences. I would say more so in the plot of the story. I would say there are references, yes, to being Asian American, being AAPI. And that like it's from different perspectives too, just based on like the main characters and also the supporting cast, like I would say in this inception. But yeah, like I also, yeah, for the future of this production, I would love when the production itself is able to share everything that it has done, because reading through the script, I know Jenny is like, it's just a draft. Like that was her body language right there. Like, no, it's a draft. But even in that draft, I saw like, yeah, like I saw myself, I saw people I knew, I saw people I don't know, but I see their lives in social media or like in the media, or all that. Like I saw that definitely tried. And that's why I continue to be proud to, you know, if just this inception, I'm a part of it, hopefully in the future. But yeah, that just, I'm excited for Yappie's future, definitely.
Thank you, An. I tend to be my harshest critic, so I actually think there's so much more research that I need to do in order to write a better script. You know, and also to make sure that it's true and it's authentic.
You kind of did it.
Which I think brings us full circle all the way back to the beginning, which is actually the name. We never touched on the name. And Yappie does have its own history, and I personally never heard the word Yappie until coming to this project, and we were discussing like what is the central character. And so I think there is, you know, always this evolving conversation among entertainers and artists of the more marginalized voices, even within the Asian community, you know, the South Asian, Southeast Asians, indigenous Asian voices, and the East Asian voices tend to be lifted up more and be more visible. And that is still tied into this concept of what a Yappie is, you know, Yappie is yuppie, which is an older term for an upwardly mobile, you know, urban, very concerned about career and appearances and things like that. And the Roger had commented in the chat, a boomer term. Yeah, that's what they call yuppies. And so there was a meld of, you know, what this culture was, and like what was that perpetuating, and what did that happen to be culturally, what was that being more visible as, you know. And so trying to bring up other voices that were not a part of that into the conversation, I think is really interesting as well. So lots to unpack. And even more, I think, in the conversation we were just having last night between the creative team, just to think about 2 years ago when we started having these conversations to now, how much the conversation has already evolved. And so from now until the iteration that makes it to the stage, hopefully sometime in the future, what that conversation will evolve to and be. So I think that's always really interesting to think about. And but I always have the utmost confidence in Jenny as a writer and lyricist to always have that at heart. So I think the conversation of this piece in general, between Roger and Bobby and Jenny and our cast, who will always hold near and dear with us, and we always welcome all their feedback to heart. And is always part of the family forever. Is there anything else anyone wanted to add before we move on? We're nearing the end here. Apologize for my cat. Alrighty, well, thank you so much, everyone who has been tuning in so far. If you're still here with us, thank you so much for celebrating with us. This is such a tremendous achievement. Thank you so much. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our musicians who are not on this feed, but Stephen Chen, Eric Black, Hannah Silverberg, Sherry Dew, Claire Hebison, Nikolai Klochkov, Jacob Gutierrez, and Randall Smith, and of course our sound engineer, Noah Tingen. Randy Smith is also another sound engineer for You. Our fabulous graphic designer, all of this here you see around us, and all of the fabulous art and design that you've seen so far. All the merch that is on our merch page on our Bandcamp, that is all by Joy Zhang. And I left her name in the comments if you want to look her up. Fabulous. Our video editor for One Path, Laura Villanueva, and our video editor for Take Up Space is Cody Russell. I'm so sorry if I'm forgetting anyone, but I also want to give a shout out to our original cast back in 2019. A lot of us who we couldn't take with us onto the recording journey. Also want to give a shout out to some of our crew who was like ready, raring to go for the production. The stage production that we unfortunately have had to postpone indefinitely. So shout out to like our stage crew and stage managers who were with us on that journey for a while. But now, hopefully in the future, we can still take you along in the family with us. So thank you so much. You all have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Donna, there's actually one more question.
Oh, yes.
And it is sort of about the future, so I guess we should probably...
Oh, yes, let's do that. One more.
I mean, we kind of alluded to it, but not really. It says, when this musical can be on stage, would it be in a DMV area?
Ah, yes. Please answer, because you know all the deals. I'm not in the know.
Are any of us?
Yeah. So to be absolutely honest, we have no idea what the future is of this project.
Yeah.
We'll travel.
Yeah.
You guys to the ends of the earth.
Well, Bobby and I have to finish it first. So it starts from there, right? It's been obviously a really hard year. It's hard for me personally, it was hard to write about anything that was not pandemic related. And then also asking myself, does the pandemic itself and all of the conversations and the rhetoric and just the changed sort of dynamics in a lot of circles, especially in artists, in the arts, right? In arts and entertainment, like how does that even shift the story at all? Is something that, I just have to ask myself, and that's going to take a while to find an answer. I'm also like about to enter the last year of my master's program where I have to write my thesis. So, yeah, I should probably do that first, considering I'm paying for it. But, so we don't know. I think we were just really focused on producing the best album we could, and then of course releasing it to the world. And so we're just gonna bask in that for a while, and then we'll come together, figure out, like honestly, what do we want to do? As soon as we figure it out, we'll let you know.
I will say, I feel like I have to do my duty as a producer that like these things cost money, and money is not easy to get. So, and there's a way you can support us if if you're interested in the future, because we are, thankfully, we have a track on Bandcamp. To read it in a serious way, as Jenny said, we're not sure. We're not saying no. We're not saying yes either, right? But certainly there's a lot of factors. But I think to a degree, I can perhaps speak really just for myself. But that we all really have learned a lot from this process, and we're invested in it. We do want to see it if it's possible to do what it was meant to be, which is a stage production. Perhaps that's possible. Perhaps it's not. No promises. But it's special to all of us.
But for now,
The here and the now.
Yeah. But you can enjoy the fabulous vocals of Manny and Davine and Kim and An and Isabella. And thank you all so much. And please visit our Bandcamp page and stream your hearts out. Thank you.
Of others telling our story, dictating who we can be. A Chinaman, a sidekick, heavy on the slapstick, dragon lady foreigner, accent fake, model minority, heads bowed, happy to be silent. We ain't never been silent. We ain't ever been quiet. We've been on this continent for centuries, nailing down rails, making trails, only to be excluded and jailed for being Chinese. No boys. American. 'Cause times are changing. A crazy rich history shining on the screen. Let's be the drivers of this scene. This world is more than black and white. No more will we be erased. Let's take up space. Yeah. We come from paper sons and picture brides, fountains and boys in Angel Island. Refugees who cross oceans to stay alive. We be descendants of warriors, sugar plantation laborers, grape workers on strike. We are immigrants with dreams outweighing fears, creating our own history. We will be the ones we wish existed. From the east, south, southeast, our story's centered. We won't stop until we're heard. 'Cause times are changing.